The Roots of Anti-Semitism is the first of our 5 Holocaust readings. What you should do first when you do any reading is look over the text features and review the questions that you're going to be asked to answer in the reading. So if we look at the last page of this packet, the first question is, what did the Lateran councils force Jews to do? So we're going to want to look for that in our reading, and since you have a hard copy in front of you, you should highlight it like I've done here, just to show you, um, highlighting and looking for the answers to these questions as we go. The next question, what were Marranos? What English king drove the Jews out? Who invited them to return? What American colony welcomed the Jews? Why did Napoleon call Jewish leaders in? What restrictions did Maria Theresa put on the Jews? What were pogroms? And be careful here. This is pogrom, not program. Program is P-R-O. This is P-O-G. So pay attention to that. There is a difference between a pogrom and a program. What was the purpose of pogroms? How did Mendelssohn teach the German language to Jews? And what did anti-Semites do to turn public opinion against Jews? Now, this points to consider down here. This is extra credit. So if you would like to get a 3.5 or a 4 on these 5 Holocaust readings, then you'll want to do the points to consider questions. So I'm going to go ahead and read this article to you. And as I go, I will highlight things that stand out to me as a place to find the answers to the 10 challenge questions. So here we go. The roots of anti-Semitism. Prejudice against Jews did not begin with the Holocaust. It was a long-standing tradition in much of Europe. Pagans seemed more willing to convert to Christianity than the small group of Jews who were present in Europe. The Lateran councils of 1179 and 1215 put restrictions on all non-Catholics, including Jews. Infidels were required to wear yellow badges, and they were supposed to live apart from Christians. The beginning of ghettos. Later, Jews were forced to listen to conversion sermons, and their books were censored and confiscated. Wild accusations that Jews spread the Black Death and other poisoned wells were spread. Black Death was what they called the plague, which was a global pandemic back in that time. In one country after another, Jews were driven out. England's King Edward seized the possessions of 16,000 Jews living there, and he expelled them from his kingdom. So I'm going to highlight that because I think that might be the answer to one of the questions. French King Philip the Fair robbed his Jewish subjects and drove them out as well. Germany was not unified, so the Jews driven out of France and England were accepted by the rulers of some German states. Nothing could protect Jews from the prejudice of cruel mobs accusing them of causing local catastrophe, and many of the Jews were forced to move again, this time to Poland or Italy. Jews in Spain were forced to convert or die. Some, called Marranos, I remember that question from our challenge questions. Some, called Marranos, became Catholics. In 1492, all Jews were ordered to leave Spain, and in 1496 they were driven from Portugal. Except for the Marranos and Jews secretly practicing their religion, no Jews remained west of Germany. German and Polish Jews found their safety was in the confines of the ghetto, and there they formed a separate society. A few ventured out of the ghetto to become successful in business. Some advised kings on financial matters. They were called court Jews. But most were poor people, marked by a yellow badge and limited in where they could go and what occupations they were allowed to enter. These were the Dark Ages for Jews. Slowly, Jews became more accepted. The Dutch allowed Jews to return during their wars with Spain. In England, oh, here's another part of the answer. In England, after Charles was beheaded, Oliver Cromwell and the Puritans came to power. The Puritans, strongly anchored in the Old Testament, welcomed Jews back. Roger Williams, founder of Rhode Island, invited Jews to immigrate to his colony. There's another one we can highlight. In the early 19th century, Jews began to become more visible. In one country after another, change was occurring. In France, Napoleon's armies marched across Europe. Uh, France. Napoleon's armies marched across Europe, carrying the motto of the French Revolution, liberty, equality, fraternity, with them. Napoleon called Jewish leaders together and ordered them to become part of the French civilization. Austria. The sun seldom shined on Austrian Jews. Queen Maria Theresa hated Jews. So Queen Maria Theresa, that's going to be an important person, right? She required all unbearded Jews to wear a yellow badge on their left arm. Jews were not allowed to buy vegetables until 9 a.m. or cattle before 11 a.m. Jews were taxed 3 million florins, which is like their dollar, each year for 10 years for the privilege of living in Austria. That kind of is expensive. Joseph II abolished the tax and let Jews attend schools and serve in the army. His successor, Francis II, put Maria Theresa's restrictions back in place. It was not until 1867, so 107 years after Maria Theresa put her um, restrictions in place, that all disabilities or restrictions against Jews were removed. Jews became members of the legislature, and some became generals in the army. Russia. In the 1790s, Russian armies conquered Poland. They now had the largest Jewish minority of any nation in the world. Russians were hard on Jews. They were denied the right to attend universities or become officers in the army. When anything went wrong in Russia, Jews were blamed. In 1791, Jews were forced to live in Western Russian lands called the Pale of Settlement. To relieve public unrest in hard times, the government occasionally started a pogrom, a time when mobs attacked Jews or stole their property without punishment. So I think that might be important to our questions. In 1882, Tsar Alexander III took the position that one-third of Jews should be converted, another one-third should die, and the remaining one-third should be exiled. Exile means kicked out of the country and sent to live somewhere else. Many of those exiled came to the United States. Despite all the restrictions put on them, some Russian Jews became successful doctors, engineers, and lawyers. Most, however, were isolated in the small towns or shtetls of what is now Poland, the Ukraine, and Western Russia. Holland. The Jewish community in Holland had a long history, and the synagogue in Amsterdam had been dedicated in 1675. Dutch Jews received full political liberty in 1796. Most lived in Amsterdam, working in the diamond and tobacco industries. Sweden, Norway, and Denmark were all tolerant of Jews. In Sweden, Jews had the rights that other non-Lutherans had. Norway and Denmark gave Jews full rights, and a prosperous Jewish community developed in Denmark, where they became leaders in banking and business. Germany. Jews in Germany had become so isolated that they could not speak or write German. Moses Mendelssohn, remember that name from the questions, Moses Mendelssohn, a brilliant Jewish scholar, overcame that problem by translating the Torah into German. After some important German states gave Jews citizenship, restrictions on Jews were finally lifted in 1870. Jews were now more visible and could more easily mix and mingle, compete and excel. The Gentile, or non-Jewish community, became aware of them, and they reacted in various ways. To many, the Jew was only slightly different from anyone else, and they had no problem accepting them. Others, called anti-Semites, saw Jews as a threat and found excuses to put him in his place. To rally support for their position, anti-Semites brought up medieval accusations against the Jews. And by that they mean going back to this idea that Jews um, uh, caused the plague and things like that. They said Jews were Christ killers, that they drew blood from Gentile children for their Passover celebration, and that they plotted against the Gentiles. Other anti-Semites looked to new race theories to prove that Jews were genetically inferior to the Gentiles. To Jews, freedom from isolation of the ghetto was a mixed blessing. Now they were exposed to the evil accusations and threats of the outside world. So at this point, you should go ahead and, if you want to review this video, and highlight your own text in front of you, and then use that highlighted information from this video to help you answer the questions. Again, if you choose to do the points to consider questions, you have the opportunity to get a 3.5 or a 4 on this assignment. Good luck.